Hello and welcome everyone. Greetings and salutations. It is time for E3 officially. Apparently for that to play in the background again. Even though I don't want it to. Best thing ever. Welcome to our live show. You can tell it's live. This stuff's already going on. I'm joined today by Justin. How's it going, Justin?
There we go. Hey, I can hear you.
Yeah, finally. Hey. So EA's got their press conference coming up momentarily. Should be here in a couple minutes. We've got lots of stuff to go over. We kind of talked on the podcast this week about what we'd like to see out of them. We're expecting Star Wars, more Star Wars. We're expecting sports, more sports. The potential for Battlefield 2, or Battlefront 2, excuse me. Small possibility. But let's break down what we do expect to see at the show, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, first thing will be Star Wars Battlefront 2. I fully expect we will see a ton of that. Probably see a little bit about the single-player mode, since that was the most requested feature of the game previously. From there, we'll probably see... what we're hoping maybe we'll see is, again, I vocalized this on the podcast, Jade Redmond's and Amy Hennig's non-titled Star Wars project. It's been in the bucket and gathering a lot of talent for the last couple of years, so I'm hoping this is where we actually see it.
Now, do you think that's going to be an addition to Battlefront? I'm predicting a PS4 VR. Either it's going to be that's the secret project, or that's going to be part of the campaign. So one of the big things I think that they're going to announce is basically talking about how VR is going to integrate into the campaign or fighting simulation. So maybe one of the battle modes you're going to be able to use the PSVR. At least that's what I feel is going to end up coming out.
I think, to be honest, there's two parallel VR things going on in the background. Criterion was working on one. Okay, we still haven't seen that either. So the team that was Criterion is making that. It could very well be that. We could see it be, a supplement to the Battlefront 2, or it could be a standalone game, and we get something for Battlefront 2. I do believe that we will get something for Battlefront 2. I think you're exactly right. It would be a huge coup if you could play the whole game in VR using their gun controller. That would be pretty amazing. That'd probably be one of the first true AAA titles to get the VR treatment. So I'd be interested to see.
The only thing I'm worried about that is that that would happen. You would probably get a $200 package where you get the game and then the VR gun, and then you're gonna have to buy a VR, but they'll probably do a massive bundle with that, so you can get the PSVR experience with Battlefront. So you probably have like a $700 PS4 bundle, so PS4 Pro, 1 terabyte gun, goggles, the whole works. That'd be great, but I'm realistic expectation. Maybe they'll start out with one campaign or one mode that's specifically maybe not even tied to the campaign, but it's a VR experience included in the Battlefront universe, and then maybe DLC wise later they'll probably throw in extra ones. So each DLC pack that you get a new map, new person, Chewie, whatever you're gonna get, you'll also get another campaign story on top of that with VR. I think knowing EA, they'll piecemeal it out a lot.
Yeah, and that's that's typically been their business model, and that's, you love it or you hate it. It is what it is. But I think Battlefront will take a big place on the stage today. I'm hoping for the one that's unannounced as well. And there is yet a third Star Wars game that everybody has forgotten about, and that's one being worked on by Respawn. So Respawn, the creators of Titanfall, we know nothing about that game other than it was announced a while back. So I think this might be a good spot. Even if it's still a couple years out, I think they might show us that just to have an even more impressive stage presence with Star Wars. Like, get everybody psyched up that, hey, you're going to get Battlefront 2 this year, you're going to get Amy Hennig and Jade Raymond's game next year, and you're going to get this unannounced cool game the year after that. So here's, for the next 3 years, here's our roadmap for Star Wars for video games. I think that would be a smart move for them to do.
So Battlefield each time has its own companion app. I'm assuming, well, I'm just saying Battlefield in general, which is the EA property, has its own companion app. I'm thinking we're probably going to get something along the lines that's going to be a mobile game tied into Battlefront 2, something that can help you earn stuff cross-platform.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm wondering if they're also going to announce another Battlefield game, because they've already got Battlefield 1 or the 1942, whatever it is that they're currently running on. I'm wondering if they're going to end up announcing another tie-in Battlefield game along with this one.
What I fully expect to see them do is announce and highlight the Battlefield 1 DLC that's coming. I don't think they're going to do that yet. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe they put all the cards on the table for the next 5 years as a roadmap at this E3, but I don't think I see them showing a new Battlefield yet. Probably just more story DLC or something along those lines.
Is the current Battlefront 2 announced saying it's using the new engine or the most current Frostbite engine?
I don't have anything on Battlefield 2 on my list.
Battlefront 2. I mean,
or Battlefront 2.
Yes,
it will be using Frostbite.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
No. Okay.
Yes. We expect the big hitters from the sports sides from them. It'll be Madden, FIFA, UFC. They'll be sure to tote their fact that they had people. I think it was some ridiculous amount, like 3 million people, finish the FIFA franchise story mode, along with I think it was 13 million in sales or 17 million in sales. So FIFA's done extremely well this year. I'm sure they're going to talk about that next year's edition. UFC, they'll spend some time on that, and we'll probably laugh because I still think they look wonky, but we'll see.
It's so many of these games can utilize VR to an extreme extent. FIFA being able to be on the field, whether or not you're playing top down, having the VR to be able to watch the game happening while you're in it. Need for Speed, again, VR in the car, or even third person view, just being a third person above it and watching it would be fantastic. Madden, top view or even character view. There's so much opportunity for them to integrate PSVR in these games, or even using VR for PC. The technology's out there now. I just don't know if they're going to utilize it. I think it would definitely set them above the rest if they could.
So let's talk about that for a second, because you weren't on the podcast on Wednesday, and the thing that I am that we have two camps, even with our own editors at the site. We've got the people who have VR and used it, and they say, "Oh, I see that this is the roadmap forward," and then we have the camp that doesn't have it, who says it's the 3D of. It's the 3D TV mode that's probably not going to be supported very well. What do you think overall for this E3? Do you think we'll see a lot of VR coverage, or do you think it will be relegated to more, and there's VR?
I think there's going to be a lot of and there's VR, but with the record setting that PlayStation's had with selling their PSVR this last year, the amount of coverage they've had saying that, hey, we've sold out every time we've produced millions of these things. I can't remember, they're like 2 million or something like that.
They're at 1 million, but that's still like far and away larger than the rest of the entire install base by a huge number.
And so going 1 million VR units sold, I think that because they've been able to just tout that as a feat, they're going to be able to utilize that in their advertising, being able to, if you can throw in, I'm going to be a little doubtful that you're going to get games that are going to utilize full VR. I think EA may announce a full VR game, but I think you're going to get majority of all of these games. I would not be surprised if all of these games being announced today don't include some portion, whether it's a half hour or an hour features worth of content that utilizes VR. I think you may get one dedicated game, but everything else is going to be a slight bit that's going to utilize VR to try to throw it out there, to try to hit the people that, hey, you normally don't play FIFA, but hey, imagine watching a soccer game when you're right there in the action. Now that's a little more entertaining. You don't normally play Madden, but hey, if you're in the stands watching the game happen, maybe you're going to end up being able to being able to enjoy it more. Maybe it's only a spectator mode where I can watch two friends play. So all I'm going to do is just watch the game happening live while I'm VR. But I like it. It's scary. You know, I played the shooting one that came out that had a dedicated controller for it. I got an hour into the campaign on it, and I had to stop it. I ended up having another friend. He's buying it. It was so intense. So I was scaring my own dogs from just how much I was, shaking, seeing the spiders come at me. And
when I first started seeing the reaction videos to people doing scary stuff in the Vive, I'm like, that is so like actors doing that. But now I have had enough people come through and put on the headset that no, people get really like the presence is too much for some people to handle. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, to make sure that I talked about with you before we started the EA press conference, or they started, is Microsoft doesn't go till tomorrow to talk about the Project Scorpio. But this is EA's one spot where everybody has their camera eyes trained to them. Do they announce something for the Scorpio before Microsoft's conference?
The hard part is I don't believe they will. I think there's going to be enough people. If anything, you might see a slide that has a bunch of stuff, and then special features, stay tuned kind of a thing, and that'll be referenced back with, how EA said that this game's coming out and there's got some more stuff coming in. Well, Scorpio's can utilize this. You're gonna get more of that. I don't think, if they did announce a Scorpio thing, you may have a Microsoft rep come out and kind of say something to it. I don't think EA would be allowed to, or even have let that mistake slip to say and reveal about Scorpio. And they may say a game's going to utilize it or something might be with Scorpio, but that would be more akin to me saying that my game's going to utilize Nintendo's newest console. And you may think that's the one that you can slot into
the Switch, yeah.
The Switch, yeah. But when really they're actually announcing another new console, so it may be something that's kind of a fine-tuned words to make you think that it's the current generation stuff, but to really be utilized for the newest stuff. That's as far as I think they'll go.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree. I think they'll double dip, and it would make sense for them to get more time on Microsoft's press conference stage to then come out and say, oh, by the way, you saw Battlefront 2 yesterday running on this. This is what it looks like on the Scorpio or whatever. So I'm sure we'll probably see that. But I have seen Stranger Things in the past at E3, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. Now, if this was... if Mass Effect Andromeda had the intended sales numbers that they were shooting for, which it obviously did not, in any other E3 year, I would say that we'd see information about the DLC previewed, but they still haven't made it clear whether there even is DLC coming for Mass Effect Andromeda because of how it sold. Do you think we will see that on the stage?
I think they will. I think they'll announce some DLC for it. It'll try to be everything that the fans kind of just didn't get to enjoy when it first came out. And all the buggy issues will have to fix, and kind of some of the story plot and the voiceovers. They basically announce a big rehaul of a lot of the engine. You'll have a big, huge patch coming out for it. Other than that, I don't think we're going to see any big surprises with stuff. I was really hoping that we'd get another Medal of Honor game, but with, again, how Medal of Honor tanked so bad with their last launch, I think they said they ended up canceling that series altogether. So maybe we'll get lucky, and because first-person shooters are still kind of taking off again, they'll pull back and announce one of their prior franchises that they'd previously kind of left on the wayside and let sit for a while and let people kind of forget about.
Well, there's one other unexpected one that we could see. I'm just checking to make sure that the show has not started yet. It has not. BioWare has a sci-fi project that is supposed to be a games as a service to compete with Destiny. Possibly. It could be too early because I think they've only been working on it for a year. But that is something we might see at the EA press conference.
And what part of Destiny do you think it's going to compete with? I mean, Destiny was a pretty decent first-person shooter. That Destiny 2 has kind of announced their ability to play with others, and their, how do I say it? They've refined and made gaming with others their kind of key focus. They don't want a lot of people to play solo because they feel like you get more content from it. And Destiny kind of has that Diablo-ish aspect to it where you get the loot, you can check the loot, and maybe it's better than what you currently have, just like the Marvel's game that's on PS4. Do you think that how do you think they're going to be?
I think
Destiny-ish?
If they were smart about it, they would make it a Mass Effect shooter in space that's massive multiplayer that does the exact same things. Destiny clone, 100%, but slap a Mass Effect label on it. There's a lot of different ways you can go with this. I still have not, if you go back and you look at the MMOs that are out there, they still could make this way more interactive than they have for most MMOs. There are bits and pieces from previous ones, like take the system of commerce from Final Fantasy XI. Basically, the way that worked is as the players controlled different areas and killed enough of the monsters, they started to control those areas. When they controlled those areas, that actually opened up new marketplaces in town from people who were foraging in that area and then bringing it to the town. So if you lost that section, then you lost the ability to buy certain things for crafting or for weapons or armor, etc. There's all kinds of stuff like that. If they wanted to make it a red versus blue type of scenario, you could make it so that as blue controls more, then they get certain perks. As red controls more, they get certain perks. And the only way you can get those is by playing the game. And
do you think that's going to be more of like a Shepard and his crew versus everyone else?
I think probably if they take a little bit of Battlefront and a little bit of Destiny and put it together, and maybe you get to spawn as Shepard and clean house on everyone else, guest characters or star characters, just the same way that Battlefront has done it. Here comes Shepard, here comes any of the other people that I can't remember their names currently. I think that would be an interesting way to do that.
I think they'll end up doing more like Destiny 1 has, where you'll be able to have Shepard with you in the running campaign or giving you the mission to go do stuff, but you're going to be part of his crew. I don't know. I think that'll be a great game for them to run through. I know that there's MMOs they're announcing a couple more. You've got the Magic the Gathering MMO announced. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how. I don't think EA has any. That could be something. EA might announce a card game. I know a lot of other franchises have been doing computer card games, and I'm wondering they might announce their own, maybe based off of Star Wars,
or even Mass Effect. They basically have the system in place with Mass Effect.
You could put it in Mass Effect 3. Maybe that's what they announce is in Andromeda. Hey, people like Gwent. Let's put a card game in Andromeda.
Yeah, Gwent really has its hooks into you, doesn't it?
Well, I'm enjoying it, but I mean, I know that's one that's kind of competing with Hearthstone and with Shadowverse, I believe it is Shadowverse. So they're taking off a little bit, so that could be something that you can monetize, put it into a mobile game, put it into console and PC, and whatever I get in here can go towards any of my other games. Maybe they make a whole EA version of it,
that could be FIFA, interesting. A way to unify their universe together. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I'm interested to see. Do we see any EA backed Origins indies? Do we see them start branching out in that direction as well? Because for a long time, they have been kind of one of the stalwarts where they generally only do double and triple A titles. Do we see them start to diversify by bringing more smaller dev teams in by funding their games to distribute on Origins? Because Origins is actually doing fairly well for them now, and everyone's peeling off in this way of games as a service on demand. You know, you sign up for the subscription model, you get X games per month, and access to other games and discounts and early starts, etc. And Origins has been around long enough that it's doing pretty well. Do we see them start to try and bring in more things to take pressure off of having to delve their back catalog?
Possibly. I don't think they're going to do a Steam style thing, or Battle.net's been doing, or Blizzard launchers kind of doing that, where they're adding another game to it. I don't. They've done it before. They've had smaller studios kind of build their lineup in the past. I think EA kind of has that unfortunate stigma of produce a lot of content. It doesn't have to be high quality, but produce a lot of content, charge you small amounts for it. So you're not paying, $80 for a game, but you're paying 60, and then 5, and then 5, and then 5, and then 5. But you're getting small amounts, so you can kind of justify the smaller purchase on it. And then you end up paying just as much as you would for the other one, but you feel better about it. I think they might do that, where they get several more smaller developers producing some products, whether that be card games, whether that be just more games. I don't know how much that they're going to really add another title to their lineup, but I think you might see offshoots. You might see a Need for Speed offshoot, or another FIFA style.
Oh, well, actually, they just announced a Need for Speed, so that's something I'm sure we will see a good chunk of, and I'm excited to see, because I'm actually did you play the last one, Justin?
I did play a little bit of the last one. I thought the physics on it were pretty decent, and the story campaign was pretty decent.
Yeah, and the customization.
I think you'll end up having more of a GTA style on this new Need for Speed if they do it. You're going to end up having probably a majority of people roaming around. You're going to be able to kind of get out and customize your car. And I think that I feel as a prediction that you're going to get a Peggy 13 version of Need for Speed GTA.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the customization options on the last one. They're still like the only people that do that. So there's definitely a niche for them there. I'm interested to see if they do go that GTA route, because it's been so popular, how that would look in the Need for Speed universe. It's actually going to be a really good year for racers. We've got new Need for Speed coming out. We've got Crew 2 coming out from Ubisoft, which I'm sure we'll see in their press conference. We'll have Forza 8. So across the board, lots of racing options, which is not something you normally get to say in any general year.
Now, did EA have the off-roading game 2 years ago? Didn't they announce it was like a Need for Speed style, but it was like an off-road version? I'm trying to remember who it was that had that game.
I don't think it was them. I'm trying to remember if they have Dirt. If
I was trying to think of that was.
Yeah, if that's published by EA or not, I can find out real quick though. So Need for Speed Payback, that's the name of the new one. I assume we're going to see FIFA for the Switch, because why wouldn't you want your flagship sports title on everything possible? Do you think we'll see a Madden or a NBA Live, or even Star Wars Battlefront 2 for Switch?
For Switch, probably not. I don't think that you're going to get that. If you do get a cross-platform, it's going to be a sub campaign. It's going to be like its own campaign story, or the same campaign that you're going to get on the other one. But I don't see any multiplayer happening on any of it. And I think it'll end up being a watered-down version of the main games. But you might end up seeing it, but I have a very, very small likelihood of that happening. But it does look like also Dirt 4 is coming out 2017, so it just came out yesterday for Xbox One.
Excellent. So they are not yet started. Usually they run a couple minutes late, and it looks like it's buffering again. Let me refresh it. Standard
Skate 4. Yeah, skating game could be.
Yeah, that's so. Let's talk pie in the sky, because that's definitely a pie in the sky game for me. they were announced Skate 4, I'd probably lose my mind because I love the Skate series. I love the Hall of Meat. Probably the most fun mode of any game that I can ever remember playing with friends is who could do more bodily harm to each other. I give it a 5% chance. I would love to see it, but I the last one did not sell very well. I don't think they'll go back to that well, but I would love to see them do so. Do you have any other pie in the sky predictions for EA for this year?
Medal of Honor. I think that would have been my high in the sky to come back if they could do it right. I think they just, unfortunately, the way that they handled the last game, they pretty much canned it at that. I'm thinking EA. Was EA the producer of who made?
So I have one other pie in the sky one, and it's actually related to what we were talking about VR before.
Battlefield 2143. That's what I would like to see.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Do you think we see any Dragon Age announcements at this E3?
Yeah, I think it's been a long enough time that Dragon Age could be a good game for them to bring out. Dragon Age 2 did a very good job in its story, graphics, and allowed you to kind of explore more open world. It was kind of their take on a smaller Skyrim-ish linear Skyrim campaign. But yeah, I think that'd be good.
What about a Titanfall 3?
I don't think Titanfall's been out long. Well, maybe a short. I don't see it coming out on E3. I think if they announce it, they'll announce it somewhere else. But I don't think that Titanfall 3 will be announced here if they do end up having it coming out.
So I have two way out there predictions. The first one is that we see a PlayStation VR Army of Two title coming out.
Okay.
Where you are controlling one of the protagonists, but then the other ones are, the other one is autonomous. Sorry. What's up, Jedi Master? Good to see you. Yep, we're doing the whole live stream right here, so stay tuned. It should be starting any minute now. They're a little behind as always. I'm gonna just refresh the page. Maybe I'll have to start over. Let's start that over. YouTube. EA 2017. Or not. EA 2017. Yeah, there we go. Play.
You might be able to do that, not full screen, but the other one next to it to kind of give a bigger view and remove the chat.
If I can get it to full screen. There it goes. So yeah, Army of Two, that's the first one. The other one, Dead Space 4. It's been long enough. The franchise has been dormant for a while. I think it's time for a not a reboot, because they learned so much from the first three, but I would like to see them revisit that. I fully expect that.
Well, my question is, you say they learned so much. Do you think it was developers learned so much, or that EA learned so much?
Yes.
Because if it's the EA, the part that's learning so much, I think they might end up just doing a reboot or a Andromeda style, in the future, using the same, campaign environment.
I think if they're smart, though, they'll look at the way they sold. And the first one was what everybody loved. The second one they liked, but it wasn't the same relationship. the third one didn't sell that well, and it had abandoned almost everything that the first one was founded off of. So I think if they do reboot it, okay, sure, as long as it's the style of one. If they don't reboot it, as long as it's the style of one, I think you're fine. You don't have to make every game a multiplayer type of
style
section.
game. Yeah.
You
can do a couch co-op on it.
I mean, even all right without co-op for those. It's a ambiance, it's a mood thing, and if you're sitting there joking with your friend doing co-op, it kind of removes from the seriousness of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I play games with friends, I'm never serious ever. That's not me. That's not how I game. But
yeah, no, I could see that.
Unless we're working towards like a raid goal in Destiny or something like that, then I'm more serious than not. But I mean, if I'm not a big horror genre person anyways, and so for them to make a game that I can easily identify and say, remove all the horror trappings out of it, that's actually a fun and good game. I want them to go back to that, whether it's exploration or whether it's horror or however they take it. I'd love to see a return to that. Continue.
Yeah.
Well, we're now 5 minutes past start time, which is, again, sadly not that unusual. Do you have any other pie in the sky?
Well, I'm guessing they're gonna do a Plants vs Zombies. They'll probably announce another one of those. You could do that in a mobile. Yeah, NHL probably will be another one that comes out. The Mirror's Edge gameplay will be probably revealed some more.
God, I'd love to see an SSX, another one.
Well, they're doing another Mirror's Edge, aren't they? They're doing the newest one. I thought there was one coming out.
No, SSX, not Mirror's Edge. SSX is the snowboarding franchise that they had during the PS2 era. They did one for the PS3, and it was not super well received, mainly because it was not the same game that they had made all those years ago. They tried to update it, and varying degrees it worked well. I actually enjoyed it a lot, but there wasn't a lot of replayability or reason to replay it, I guess is the best way to say it, unless you wanted to unlock more characters, costumes, etc.
Well, I know we're gonna get all the NBA, the Maddens, the FIFA, the NHL, all of that. I would kind of hope for a Bad Company 3. Bad Company 2 was the first game I ever completed the entire campaign on.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Company 3 would be great. That's a high in the sky. And I'm sure they'll probably do another SimCity or a Sim version game. I know the SimCity previously did not take off well because of their always online, and that kind of really disturbs some people. Because I personally don't understand why SimCity needed to be online 24/7. There was no trading. I could maybe go to other people's places and look at it, which would be fine as a ancillary online mode. But there was no interacting with other people. There wasn't like, hey, I'm always going to see someone else's city to my left or to my right. So I don't know if they'll do another Sim version.
Mirror's Edge came out last year.
It did? Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was the case, but I didn't want to say it before I looked it up. But yes. Do you think I'm sure we're going to see the Sims in some form, content packs or something? Do you believe we see the announcement of Sims 4 coming to consoles?
They had Sims on Xbox previously, so I could see that definitely coming to a console. It would definitely broaden their market, especially with their always online style of gameplay. I could see maybe a Sims universe on console, kind of like a PlayStation Playroom had previously, where you could use your avatar and hang out with people. So maybe they do a Sims universe, kind of a thing where you can play in your own town, but then you can also go to the mall and hang out with all the other people playing The Sims. and use
Now,
your emails to kind of build
one of
stuff.
Dave's far out there production or predictions was that they would bring back the pinball simulator or the pinball construction set, which is they've not had a game in that series since the 80s, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah.
That'd be a good console game or even a mobile game. I think they have a lot of opportunities to do some of their older and smaller titles into mobile. They could definitely reach a broader market if they go to mobile, because mobile gaming seems to be really taking off this last couple of years. I think they could definitely capitalize on that. I doesn't necessarily mean I'm happy with it, but I think that they could definitely capitalize on having mobile as a bigger market or a bigger focal point of this reel.
I am just refreshing everything right now. Making sure that it has not started. I do not believe it has. But just refreshing everything. They are 10 minutes past due.
Yep, still waiting. Are they only streaming on YouTube, or are they doing a Twitch as well?
Unknown. Generally, they do everywhere. So we'll see. But
I wonder if maybe they're lives more current somewhere else.
Electronic Arts. Oh, Electronic Arts. Do we have a live stream? Nope. It is still just and lovely graphic arts by people. Huzzah.
You could do the just instead of full screen, the one just next to it. I think it'll bring it down enough.
Just making sure that I can get the sound going there. Gotta love the internet with their ASCII art stuff. So yeah, they must be having technical difficulties on their side. Lord knows that never happens to anybody, right?
Well, right now there's another E3 stream for EA, and it looks like it's got a 47-minute countdown. Let me.
Yeah, that would be the case. So, let's go ahead and
I'm not sure where they're pulling these streams from.
now, did you play a lot of Battlefront 2? Or Battlefront 1, excuse me?
I didn't play a lot of Battlefront 1. I played the first the beta. I bought it. I played maybe a couple matches out of it, and it didn't feel right. It felt, as an FPS, it just felt off. It felt squishy. It felt laggy, and moving. But but since that point, I had other games I wanted to play more. So it didn't grasp me and make me want to play as much as other games normally do. So I never really got too far into it. Wasn't my huge cup of tea.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a minute as they start the show. So stay tuned. We'll be back.